This is Thursday Inspiration. Don't let your passion die. Welcome guys on this quick episode of the Inspiring Talk podcast. On this episode, I would like to share an incident that made me think differently about the life, and this incident have a very deep impact on my own life. Few years back, I was traveling on Delhi Metro to my friend's place. It was a chilly winter morning and I was standing by the door of metro. I was on my own thoughts and I noticed a man on the opposite side looking at me. His hair were all turned white. The wrinkle on his forehead and cheek were telling me that he was not less than 70 years old, though he looked physically fit. He looked at me and scanned me from top to bottom before he asked me, "Hey, son, what do you do?" I told him about my job. I shared him about my vision and dreams and answered a couple of his other questions. And I asked him, "So you seem to be retired. What did you do in your life?" He paused for a moment, looked at my eyes, and I could feel that there's something that he wanna share. He goes, "I did nothing. Wasted my entire life." I said, "Why do you say that?" Again, he took a pause. This one was a longer than the previous one. He gave me an awkward smile and said, "I lived for everyone else, to make everyone else happy. Now I feel empty. It feels like my life has been a total waste. There's nothing that I could give out to this world in the past 70 years. All I cared was to make my father happy and do whatever it took to fulfill demands of my kids and wife. But I never stopped to ask myself, is it all that I want to do in my life? Now when I'm at this point in my life, all I have is emptiness. I never took a pause to ask myself, what is it that I'm doing and why I am doing?" He took a long, deep breath and continued. "I was running in a race without knowing if it was the one that I was supposed to run. After a few seconds, I asked, what would you have done if you were given an opportunity to live your life all over again?" With all hopelessness, he said, "I always knew I loved reading about movies and enjoyed watching them. I was really fascinated by the entire movie set and how the movies were produced, as I once got opportunity to witness movie being filmed while I was in my mid-30s. I had developed this deep inclination in making a movie since then, but I could never take a step forward for all the excuses I had for myself. I wish I could have at least tried and took a step forward to pursue it." Before I could ask him more about his story, he deboarded the metro with a broken smile, leaving me there with many questions on my head. All I could see on that 70 years old man's eyes was regret. The regret of not following his heart. The regret of letting his passion die inside of him. The regret of living his life for someone else. I could see that pain on the words that came out of his heart. And I don't know why the tears were rolling down from my eyes. Maybe that's because I did not want to be that man, turning 70 one day and looking back at my life the same way and having that kind of regret for my own life. My dear friends, how often do we stop for a moment and ask ourselves, are we even running on the race that we are meant to? I'm afraid most of us never do that. It doesn't matter how high you climb on the ladder of success on something you never wanted versus failing and fighting for something you love till your last breath. My dear friend, you cannot be that person who goes to his deathbed with potential untapped and passion left unattended. You can't let your passion die inside of you. You cannot do that to yourself. Stop making excuses. Find a way. There must be one. Don't let your passion die inside of you. Express it out to the world. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Inspiring Talk podcast. I hope you got some inspiration or learned something. If you did, make sure that you share this episode with your friends by visiting theinspiringtalk.com/4343. And also, if this is your first time listening to this podcast, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast app so that you won't miss amazing upcoming updates. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you in the next. Now, go out there and do something inspiring.